I went back and forth on Wind, trying to work out if the message in the ending, or what I believed it to be, was correct, or if it made no sense. And I think I've decided that it's a beautiful ending and it does make sense. But I want to discuss that and see if I'm right or if people think that I'm right. So I'll leave that towards the end. I'll give it a spoiler warning towards the end. The film itself, the setting location, I don't care for, and that means the animation is not something that I found engaging in terms of the visual appearance of it. This grandmother and her grandson are in this kind of crater deep within the earth. They're trapped there, of course, and everywhere around them there are kind of floating debris and rocks, and there are a lot of what I assume are potatoes, and they've obviously been working to try and find a way of escaping this place and getting out, and it looks like there's a chance, but there's a problem with it. And I'll discuss that with a slight spoiler warning in a moment. I say a slight spoiler warning because I don't know if it is a spoiler or if people know that this is what it's about, but I'll leave that there for now. What I will say is it is emotional, and what it's actually about. I can't even tell you what it's about without spoiling it, so there will be spoilers from now. Basically, the animation quality is fine. It's a good quality animation, but I don't personally care for the visual aspect because it's not my style of animation. But it's moving, it's sentimental, but it took me. I needed context. It's unusual for me to need context to enjoy a short or an animation. But without context, I thought it was just a bit, nah, it was alright. But when you have the context and you know what the director was trying to do, it's directed and written by Edwin Chang, it makes it more moving. So the big question is, death of the author, do we need context? Do we need to know the author's backstory, the director in this case? It definitely helps. Spoilers from now. And there probably will be big spoilers. The problem is, there's only one, in the rocket, there's only room for one person. And of course, the grandmother lets her grandson go in the rocket, and he gets out. Glorious moment, he's very ecstatic. And then he pulls on the rope. Well, it's probably not rope, but whatever it is. Thinking that his grandmother will be on the end of it. And it's not, it's just a box of potatoes, which, I'll be honest, I thought was adorable. And I thought, well, hang on, why couldn't he just go and fetch somebody to help? And this is where I thought it didn't make any sense, even once I had context, because it's apparently based on or inspired by the director's own immigration story. So I thought, okay, the boy has emigrated from a dark place to this destination, which is going to be great. It's bright, it's airy, it's free. And I thought, okay, well, if that's representing the place where they're meant to be going, that's going to, help them and save them, then surely there would be people there to help the boy find a way to get a kind of pulley system to pull his grandmother up, or find some way of rescuing her. Because if he's gone to this place that's, great and gonna help and change his life and help save him from this dark, horrible place, then there would be people there to help. And that means there would be people for him to go to help bring his grandmother up. So she didn't really need to make that sacrifice as such, because he could go and help. He could find people to help. And that's where I think it doesn't make sense. But maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe they're the last two surviving people on Earth. I don't think this is what the message is, but I have to say that that's what's happening. That there's nobody else on Earth who could possibly help get his grandmother up there. And she's made the ultimate sacrifice. But then he's the last person on Earth and he's on his own. And would you rather be in a hole with your grandmother or completely on your own in life? And I feel like I realised what they were trying to do with the ending. I totally get what was trying to be done. But I honestly feel like it kind of failed. I feel like I'm a writer. I have to look at what's believable and what works. And if I wrote that in a novel, an editor or a publisher would be all over me going, well, this doesn't make sense because of the reasons that I've said. And yeah, maybe I'm overanalyzing it, but as a writer, as a creator of narratives, I'm kind of programmed to do that. And I just feel like, yeah, it's a sweet message, but it didn't have to be. You didn't have to make a sacrifice. I mean, make the initial sacrifice, absolutely. I guess you could argue that yeah, the grandson's on his own now, but eventually he will find somebody and bring back help. And I don't know, maybe she'll be dead by then, and it'll still be emotional. Like you could argue that, but I just feel like there are obvious ways of solving a problem that doesn't really exist. So yeah, it definitely wasn't. It just didn't make any sense. There are too many problems with it. The message is sweet, but the message is counteracted by the fact that that problem could be resolved, unless we're saying there are no other humans left and there's nobody there to help, and that boy is going to have to live out the rest of his life completely on his own, which in itself is pretty depressing. Maybe that's the emotional aspect. Maybe that's where the emotions are. He's gone to this better place, but now he's on his own forever. I don't feel like that's the message they were trying to give, but that's the only message I can read into it. I know I'm overanalyzing it, but I can't help it. I can't help it because if I had written this, I would be red penned all over the place and told, no, that doesn't make sense. So I can't love it. I really can't. It's a nice idea, but there are giant holes in the execution, unfortunately.